Sydney, Australia, January 15, 2025. Severe storm battered Sydney and region NSW overnight. The State Emergency Service has received more than 2,250 requests for help in the past 24 hours. And one man lost their life in Kara when the tree fell on his car. 100,000 homes remain without power on the off-grid network, which encompasses Sydney and the Hunter Valley. NSW SES has received more than 2,250 calls for assistance and responded to more than 1,800 incidents as severe weather battered the state overnight.
Just out for a walk. It's about 9 p.m. in Sydney. We're having an electrical storm tonight. It's been very hot all day, so we need
Severe thunderstorm cell hit across Sydney and parts of the state's northeast and central west Thursday morning, including Newcastle and Wollongong. More than 140,000 homes have been without power at some point in the last 24 hours. A home at Mudgee in the central west was completely destroyed by a fire. After a downed power pole landed on the property, crews managed to bring the blaze under control just before midnight. Fire and Rescue NSW Acting Superintendent Matt Sigmund said no one was at home during the incident. There were some properties on either side that were under threat for a period of time, but breeze did manage to prevent the spread to those houses. There were a number of other power poles that were at risk of collapse, but they are now being managed by power providers. In Dabo, fire crews were called to Eden Park where it's believed lightning struck a tree near leaking gas pipe. The area was closed for an hour while fire crews managed to bring the blaze under control, and the power company isolated the gas leak. Sherry Day is a farmer at Rachel in the Upper Hunter and said the storm demolished a hay shed at the property. We got up this morning just on daylight to find our beautiful big hay shed, which is just across the flat from where we live, totally smashed to the ground, she said. Elsewhere in Hunter, a roof at Sestock High School was torn off, as well as the roof at the NSW Port Authority at Honeysuckle in Newcastle. Bureau of Meteorology (BUM) senior meteorologist said the wild weather was produced by a cold front that triggered a massive line of storms. At one stage, they basically had a line of storm extending from almost the Queensland border down to Tasmania. They did see some supercells, the super strong thunderstorms, and they did develop along the line. Wind gusts of 120 km per hour were recorded at Williamton north of Newcastle, but gusts in excess of 100 km per hour were recorded in areas scattered across the state, including Corner 117 km per hour, Scone, Dabo and Kara 107 km per hour, Wagga Wagga 106 km per hour, and Tamworth 102 km per hour. Then heaviest rain fell at Eurobodala on the south coast, where 127 millimeters was recorded in the 24 hours to 9 a.m. About 57 millimeters of that fell in about half an hour, and about 85 in an hour, the meteorologist said.
Wow. From the front door, no less.
Energy provider Ausgrid said the storm was the biggest to hit Sydney in several years. There remains 100,000 homes without power, specifically on the Ausgrid network, which encompasses Sydney and the Hunter Valley. The worst impacted areas are in Sydney's north, southwest, and the inner city, as well as in Newcastle coastal areas. Spokesperson Junet Hawley said additional maintenance crews are working to restore power. Right now, they are tracking more than 560 different hazards across the network, getting us on them, understanding what repairs are required. And at that stage, they'll know better in each case how long it's going to take to get those repairs done, can get people restored. Essential Energy, which provides power to the bulk of regional NSW, has also reported more than 50,000 customers have been impacted by outage at some point during the storms. More than 15,600 were impacted by 8:30 a.m. Thursday morning, with affected areas stretching from the Tamworth and Port Macquarie to Bathurst and Vega. An Essential Energy spokesperson said 24/7 crews are on hand to restore power across the state.
It's starting now, so better get home. This is a view to Botany Bay with the lightning storm.
Sydney Airport saw winds of over 100 kilometers an hour, and parts of western New South Wales topped 120 kilometers an hour. The wild weather also caused further chaos on the embattled Sydney trains network, with several stations without power overnight. The cleanup will now begin, with a large amount of damage and widespread power outage persisting after trees toppled power lines and damaged property. Amid the cleanup, there are concerns that Thursday and Friday's weather forecast could cause further chaos. Rain and a potential thunderstorm is expected in Sydney, and parts of the mid-north coast and the northeast of the state are not alert.